King Arthur and Avalon, the Holy Thorn, the Beast of Exmoor, the Dunster Dragon, even the Witch of Wookey Hole. These are all myths and legends that we are very familiar with, all relating to this fair county of Somerset. Alexander Burton grew up on these Somerset levels before moving to Cornwall. He realised that as someone who moved around a lot, myths and legends were kind of part of getting to know where you lived, and he's had a love of them ever since. And he's doing something very special with some books that he's written about them. But to add to the excitement and to add to the moving roundness of Alexander, we're linking up live to Alexander in Canada. I'm going to say good afternoon because that's what it is here. Is it morning there?
Hi, Simon. Hi, thanks for having me. It is morning. It's 7 a.m, so I've got a coffee in my hand. I'm trying to wake up.
Excellent. Well, look, try and stay awake for us, and bless you for getting up early for us. Tell me a little bit about your love of myths and legends. As I say, it was kind of partly to do with you settling in when you moved a lot.
Yes, that's right. So I absolutely love Tolkien. Who doesn't? Lord of the Rings, all of that. I am a natural storyteller. I love writing. I've always had a love for writing and literature, but I did move around a lot. When I was younger, so Somerset, Cornwall, etc. And these things kind of stay with you. You know, you always think of the girt-worms of Sherwich Wood, the Beast of Bodmin Moor, all of those things. And you know what? I just wish there was more of it. So I just started a couple of years ago. I just started writing more folklore, kind of remembering home and that sort of thing. So it's really a way of sort of remembering Somerset and kind of thinking about the land. You know, all of those kinds of things.
And the fact that legends and myths and folklore have kind of been around forever and they are still relevant in this day and age is quite a lovely thing, isn't it, about our connection to the past?
It sticks with you, definitely. Like I still remember from when I was younger, you know, I remember the land. I have a very active imagination. I remember, you know, the girt-worms of Sherwich Wood. And it really does stick with you, especially as a kid, you know, as a young child, like reading The Hobbit and sort of different books like that. It kind of really sticks in your imagination. And when you're an adult, it's, you know, it's even more important. You sort of cling on to the nostalgia and that sort of stuff. So.
Well, let's talk about some of the legends, because, I mean, these are words I've never heard before. Snibblegoats, Snarlygogs of King Arthur's court. So just sort of fill me in on what we're talking about here.
Definitely. So again, it's one of those, perhaps I've turned into a bit of a child as an adult, but I remember my mother, for example, she's from the West Country. A lot of my family I've got 6 or 7 aunts who live across Somerset. And I remember when I was younger, my mother talking about snarlygogs. And it's the pieces, the floating pieces that you find in cider and sort of beer after the fermentation process. And I wanted to give them a life. I wanted to give snarlygogs a life. My mum had always spoken about them, and I thought, well, you know, I'll write a short book. I sort of write in short volumes, sort of quite prolific. Snibblegoats are an entirely new invention. I mean, goats don't get much airtime, really. They're sort of those animals that no one really makes up stories about. And I always think that that's a shame, because I love goats and I love animals. And
So you're basically creating your own myths and legends for the next generation then, kind of?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think so. And I think I enjoy kind of weaving it into history. I have a love of the Roman history in Britain, the impact that had before Anglo-Saxons, you know, came into England and all of that. And I love thinking about the Romans, the impact, but I love looking at it through animals. Like, how would an animal have seen it at the time? And for me, it's quite a fun, playful, neutral way of exploring loss, memory, how you hold nostalgia in where you live and think about the myths. So for me, it's building a bigger universe around those myths and kind of thinking, well, you know, why not invent, you know, the snarlygogs? Why not turn it into something or expand upon something and link the Beast of Bodmin Moor to wider mythology?
It sounds brilliant. And for your own kind of personal creativity and imagination, you've not only written up the books, you've also illustrated them too. So, you know, a lot of these things are purely, we are seeing what you saw.
Well, I mean, for me, I love drawing. I love creating the whole sort of universe. And these days, it's so easy with one of my kind of angles too is with AI and that sort of stuff, everything gets flattened. So it's nice to have a human creating things like behind the book. That I don't think I'm that good at drawing, but but at least I think for me it's important that human element is really, really important to the work as well.
Well, let's talk about the books that I know that you've given them out all over the world, but Somerset is going to benefit from some Somerset libraries from your books.
That's right, yes. So I did, I think it was in June, I donated some other of my literary work to Bridgewater Library as it had just reopened after a long period of closure. So I donated some books to Taunton and Bridgewater Library, hardback books, which I'm very proud of. But these are slightly different donations because they're linked. Cheddar, for example, Glastonbury, Street. I went to school at Crispin School in Street for a number of years, and so for me, it's really important to give back to where I came from. So these will be the first of many donations, but this year I've been giving out books sort of everywhere, but Somerset obviously is the most important for me to give back to. So
oh, how brilliant. And what are you hoping is going to happen to them? Are you hoping that people will kind of stumble upon them and will then kind of learn these myths and legends, some old, some not so old?
Who knows? It's a very good question. I'm one of those people in life that, I don't always plan things, and I think, by chance someone might pick one up and they might build on their own legends, or they might start writing, I got inspired when I was younger. For me, I think it's stories. I love stories. So maybe some people might tell them, who knows, or they might start writing themselves, or they might write down some of their own myths and legends. Who knows, really?
You've given away your books, as we say here in Somerset, of course, but also on the list, places like Canada, where you live now, and Los Angeles as well. What has been the reaction? Because what do they make of these very old, quaint English myths and stuff?
That's a very, very good question. So my work sort of spans between poetry on migration, the expat sort of experience in North America. So for me, it's important, and as a gay person, I also write sort of separate subjects. So my work is quite broad. So I do have a selection of books to give. So I've been sort of bifurcating it into different streams. So the books in Los Angeles, for example, those were books on migration, on the British sort of expat experience. There's a lot of those in Los Angeles. So for me, I've been sort of, I think North Americans also absolutely love King Arthur. They love British folklore, and the Canadians especially, they love anything related to King Arthur and all of that mythology. So I hope they enjoy it.
Well, I think they do, and I think that, there is certainly America doesn't have anywhere near the length of history that this country does, so it sort of all taps into that as well, doesn't it? The nostalgia for a time that you never knew.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's actually a very, very good point. I mean, for me, Toronto is lovely. It's great, but we yeah, you're right. We don't have that same history. So sometimes I'll sort of sit here, twiddle my fingers, think of a word, or a piece of folklore that I heard about when I was younger, and just invent something new. So for me, that's a very good point. It's almost like a blank canvas, because you can kind of think about it differently. I think back to the Quantocks, for example, absolutely beautiful. I think we don't really have that here. It's very, very different. So,
how did you end up in Canada? Last question. I'm just being nosy now.
No. So my father, he's actually, I have I'm Swiss, Canadian, and British. So I've moved around a bit, a few different passports. My father is from Calgary, Alberta. So when he was born there, and then I just sort of ended up here after 10 years of rowing on the Thames in London. I love Canada. I fell in love with it when I moved here. So.
Excellent. Well, it's lovely linking up with you today. Keep us informed as to what you're writing about next, because it sounds very interesting. Thank you so much for your donation of your books to our Somerset libraries. Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Likewise, you. Of course, we're halfway through. It's early over there. Alexander Burton there, who has donated some of his books involving folklore to 4 of our county libraries: Cheddar Street, Glastonbury and Wells. Some old stories you would know, some are newer ones that he's made up. Sounds brilliant. Right,